Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Defenders Live. I'm your host, Lora Thorson. Brent Hickmon is the founder of Haven Defense Company, a family-owned holster company built from the ground up out of real-world necessity. After pushing his own gear to its limits in high-level training, Brent began making holsters in 2016 to fill a gap he saw in quality defensive equipment. What started as a local solution quickly grew into a respected name in the industry, with Haven Defense Company now developing its own CNC molds and even supporting other holster makers across the country. Beyond the shop, Brent is also a firearms instructor with Defenders USA, committed to helping people build real capability, not just carry gear. This year marks a new step as he's been invited to instruct at the A Girl and a Gun National Conference after years of being behind the scenes, supporting shooters and solving gear issues on the ground. In this conversation, we're going to get into Brent's backstory, what drove him to build Haven Defense Company, and what it really takes to create gear people trust when it matters most. Before we get started, make sure you're subscribed, whether you're watching on Rumble or YouTube or listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere else you find this show. If you don't want to miss another episode, head to defenders-live.com and become a free subscriber. That way, every new episode gets delivered straight to your inbox. And if you're looking for top-tier firearms and self-defense training, go to defenders-usa.com and check the calendar to see what's coming to your area this year. I think the last time you were on was, it's been at least over a year, maybe a couple of years.
Yeah, I think so. I think the last time we did some concealment solution techniques and options and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that would be a good episode for you guys interested in learning more about holsters. If you search up his name on the Defenders Live YouTube channel, you can find that last interview. But I've known you for quite some time. I think I first met you in 2022, the same year I met Adam Winch.
I think so. Same year, probably later that year or the year after. I'm not sure.
It could be. Yeah, I don't know. The time is skewed in my old age. So, but what I wanted to say about that is that, I've been friends with you for quite some time. I trust you through and through. You and Marissa both. You're really good friends of mine. Solid people. And I was thinking about this interview the other day, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have never asked Brent the backstory behind the business, behind firearms training, the whole thing. I don't think I know the whole story. And so what a great idea to ask you this in front of everybody so everyone can learn along with me what the backstory is. Because it started with firearms instruction first, didn't it? And then morphed into the holsters, and now it's both.
As a business, it started with holsters first, but so everybody usually in the firearms industry usually has their watershed moment, that aha moment that gets them more involved in training. Mm-hmm. So as far as a lineage of time, mine was I had my aha moment of I need to be more prepared in defensive capabilities and all that stuff, and then I met with Adam, and then it snowballed into that. So my original moment was we have an apple orchard, basically, pretty much a half a mile from my house. It's literally a half a mile off the exit. We live off of a frontage road that's literally off of I-70. Mm-hmm. And I think it was 2013. They found a dismembered body literally a half mile from my house. So that was the moment of, oh crap, this is things happen here too. And Marissa was pregnant with Logan, our oldest. So I was like, I'm going to be a dad. They found this part of a dismembered body. It turns out that she was from I think a different state, and they were dumping parts of her body off, crazy stuff. You don't even think would happen, but that waking moment, and you're going, okay, some people are pure evil. So then you get into defensive training. So I had to figure out who I was going to get my concealed carry permit from. I was like, I got to get a gun, got to learn. Got my concealed carry permit from a different different instructor. And then a couple years after that, 3 or 4 years, something like that, Marissa went to one of Adam's free concealed carry classes when he was still here.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, "Oh, you got to go see Adam. Even though you already have your concealed carry permit, you should take this class. He's awesome." And so I was like, "Okay, that's cool." So
you gotta trust your wife; she knows best.
Yes. Usually, depending on what it is. Sometimes but where were we? I took that class. I think it was his Defender series. So it was like the concealed carry class on a Friday, and then the 2 days after of more advanced fighting handgun type stuff. So yeah, we did that, and I think the problem, like I think I had like a leather holster or something. It was I bought some cheap holster, and throughout the course, it ended up being that I needed something different, right? Just looked better for continuous drawing and all this. And then in that time, I don't think I was aware of how many holster companies there were available. And I think Adam was working with like a local guy that had stopped doing it for a while or something along those lines. It's been a little while. But yeah, so I was like, well, maybe I'll just figure out how to build my own. And then I was going to take like a fighting rifle class with him, and I needed AR mag carrier holders. And I was like, screw it, I'll build my own. So I started building my own. And if you've seen the first ones compared to now, it's like ridiculous. I can't even explain how terrible the first ones were.
Gotta start somewhere, Brent.
And it's so funny because you're like, I took it to class, and Adam and one of the other guys that was helping him was like, "Oh, these are totally awesome, right?" They were sturdy, they work great, but they look like total dog crap, right? I like stepped on them to smush them down, and the Kydex was heated with like a heat gun or something. So yeah, so it was fun. But they're like, "Oh, you should make these." So I just started making them, and immediately was like, okay, these need to improve right now.
Yeah.
So and then I was doing that and signing up for all of Adam's classes as much as I could, just to be able to like try and hawk my gear on the side, because it was just working out that way. So, and then at some point Adam's like, "Hey, so you've paid for all my classes like 2 times over. Stop paying and just show up, because you end up helping half the time anyway." And so then that's where our friendship kind of budded from, right? And it just worked out from there. So
I got to ask you a question, just from a training aspect, because we've all been there, right? We all have our own path, our own journey through training. It's not always all the same, but I can relate to a lot of what you're talking about. And I wonder, because there was for me, I'm just wondering for you during any of Adam's training that you went through, was there an eye-opening moment of reality that you ever went through where you were like one way before and after your mind was open to like, whoa, like I really need to take this training seriously. This just isn't some like go get my permit and I'm good to go kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Yes, I know exactly what you mean. And Adam is kind of the catalyst for that. I'm pretty sure because I already had my concealed carry permit, right? From day, which was 2 or 3 years of, oh, it's on me when I can. Even though it was more likely on me at home most of the time rather than out, because that's where that incident was closest.
Oh, so that's what was on your mind.
I gotta have it at home because this happened only half a mile away. In my perception, even though the crime itself didn't happen a half a mile away. But So I had my concealed carry permit for a certain amount of time, and then I took Adam's Defender series, and then from that point on, it was okay. Now this is pretty serious, because he's, the awakener usually, as far
Yeah.
as
The Awakener. That should be his nickname.
yeah, the awakener.
Yeah.
And he's so good at making it hit home a lot of the times, when he gives his speeches and that kind of stuff during class.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. So that was pretty much the real awakener of okay, I got to take this stuff serious. And
yeah.
It's good when you have someone like Adam who's so good at that and kind of just keep wanting to keep you up on par with modern training methodologies and all that too. Because I've been with Adam since he was teaching the stuff that we no longer teach, right? No names shall be named, but the old school stuff that any modern performance level shooting instructors aren't going to teach you, right? So Adam's really good at expanding and learning, and then being able to
and sharing that with other people. Yeah.
Right. So that's where I'm all, because I'm like a sponge, right? I will, if I want to do something, I'll do it. Like build my own holsters, and then I'm teaching myself CAD, which is computer aided design, so that I can make my own molds so that my holsters fit better and they're more consistent and all this stuff. So
yeah,
self-taught and all that stuff. So once it's time for me to pick up something, I'll do it, right?
And so then where did the evolution come into, like, the actual becoming a firearms trainer then? Because you were a student for a long time, you were starting to build your own stuff. Then how did that come about?
So it pretty much came about because Adam decided that he was going to move and abandon all us Coloradans, right? All us Western Slope people. I always joke about that in classes, like, oh yeah, I'm Defender's new lead guy for this area because Adam decided to abandon us all, right?
But you'd trained with him for quite a while.
Yeah.
Before that, yeah.
Correct. And then he's like, called me up one day and he's like, so I'm gonna be moving. And I was like, devastated. Right. And he's like, but I was wondering if you'd be interested in teaching as well and kind of trying to take my place. And at first you're like, what? Little me? I'm just like your helper guy. I go get stuff. I fill your water. But it, just like everything, when you see somebody that is capable of kind of taking up what you think they can take up, you see it in them before they do, right?
Yeah, totally. He's good at seeing that in people too, I will say.
Yeah. So it's hard. Like, it was hard for the first 2 years to kind of break out of my own shell and not try and emulate Adam Winch, right? Because I'm not him. I don't have the military experience or the police officer experience, the SWAT cop experience. All my experience in that realm is pretty much through him, as far as the training aspects, but not the real world aspects that he obviously has. So I just have to kind of take my own take on a civilian defensive mindset and how I think it should be, based on a combination of what I learn and what Adam teaches and that kind of stuff. So.
And you've been good about learning from all kinds of instructors too. I mean, both of us have done that. You've done more of it, I think, than I have, but you've really spread your wings in that way, and getting different perspectives from different trainers, and not just learning from them to be a better shooter yourself, but I'm sure you're observing how they're teaching, what they're teaching, and all of that too. Because I get just as much out of a class by watching the instructor, how they teach, as I do the actual techniques or skill, that I'm learning.
Yeah, so, I think it's funny because I will go to classes, and depending on the class and the instructor. So I'm range master certified up to master level, and that's more more defensive. And then the latest certificate for instructorship was Scott Jedlinski of Red Dot instructor program. So those are pretty similar. Scott does a little bit of both, right? Defensive encounters and that kind of stuff, defensive shooting and competition shooting. And then I've also trained with full-blown competitive shooters like Tim Herron and AJ Zito. And AJ Zito is a mix of both, right? And so is Tim, but Tim's like a total nerd on competitive shooting. Like he knows the math, all the ins and outs, and one of his classes is totally awesome, right? So hopefully in August I get to go again to one of Tim and AJ's classes. I'm trying to arrange it to go. He's coming to Cripple Creek, Colorado. So, and I got a friend down there that I usually try and see and hang out with. And so we might be able to make that to there. So
cool.
I just try to always go train at least a couple classes, even though my schedule is now pretty laid out as far as the holster business, and then teaching for defenders at least a couple times a month, because we do. Colorado's got new concealed carry laws that it's a full day now. You can't just sign up for the 4-hour class. You have to do live fire, and that was implemented last year, I think. So, so I'm pretty busy. I'm trying to have at least a couple, or at least one concealed carry class a month.
So you have been going. How long have you been going to a Girl and a Gun national conference?
I think this is the 3rd or 4th year. Okay. As a sponsor, I think 4 years ago we did just a booth, and we had just a table, right? And we had some stuff to sell, and girls kept coming up, and all the ladies were like, "Oh, can you help us do this? Can you help us fix this?" Because they got a pretty strict gear check program, right? And then 2 years ago, Robin was like, "Hey, can you build holsters on site and help these ladies when they need it?" And I was like, "Sure." So I packed up my whole shop and brought it up there. They may have some like video or footage or pictures of it. I think I got some pictures too, but
you were busy. Like it was crazy.
I think we built and sold like 50 holsters that day. Between the stuff I pre-built, and that's hard because there's so many variations, and on a good holster, it's got to be built for the gun, right? It can't just be a universal, bucket. One, it's not going to pass your gear check, and two, it's not going to retain the gun very well. So it's got to be molded to the specific gun or the light, some kind of retention that's specific, right? So we built a lot of holsters, and I think there's so many holster makers out there that aren't high quality and top tier. Nothing against some of them, but they just don't know the holster rules that AGAG has in order to. One of the big ones, hangups for the girls, was
the trigger guard.
No daylight rule. I think I had to fix one of your old ones there, because you had a button VP9, which not do. No,
so that was my fault.
And I wasn't sure on that, and I had swooped it out. The trigger guard is completely safe, right?
Yeah, it was. But you could see just a little sliver.
Yeah, there was like 1/8 of an inch, and some of the girls that came to the booth were like, I failed gear check. I need to either have you fix it. Some of them I could fix. Some of the daylight was so minimal that I just heated up the trigger guard part and just like stretched it. Just
really? Yeah.
I was busy building full-blown holsters at the time. Like, I'm like, okay, this I could probably fix real quick. This will take me 5 minutes instead.
I can't even believe you fit your entire shop into the car or the, truck that you had. I think it was a truck with a topper on it or something. Like, I don't even know how all this is going to go back in there. It was nuts.
Magic.
Yeah.
I used to be good at Jenga and Lego.
Yeah, apparently. And so then what's going to happen this year? You're going to be an instructor. So tell me how that came about. You're going to be teaching there, but then like, okay, are your sons going to take over your shop? Are you still going to have a shop
Well,
there?
every year that we go, we just have, the shop is set up on one of the bays in one of the shelters. So the thing with that is because it's on a bay, once gear check day is over Thursday, and the vendor day is done, we pulled all our stuff because that bay was needed, right?
Okay, that makes sense.
So.
Oh yeah, I forgot because you were helping Adam then on
Yeah, so
Thursday.
I've
Okay.
been helping Adam.
Yeah.
Every year.
Yeah.
Going there. So there was a few times where ladies would come to Adam's bay and be like, "Oh, I need to fix this holster," and we fixed it, right? Even I had all my stuff, all my hardware and stuff to be able to do that. So this year, hopefully, everybody will be squared away. I may commission my oldest to come to my bay that I'm teaching at on like Friday, just to have an extra day of, if there's issues. But I think given the amount of times I had to fix holsters last year, hopefully everybody will be, up to par this year. So, and let me clarify that I did not have to fix my own besides yours that one time.
Yeah, and it was a really, really small thing.
And I pretty much have like a gear check guarantee, right? So, because I know.
Yeah, you made it right. I mean, you were just like, hey, I'll fix it. No big deal. I mean, you made it right. So I appreciate that. So what are you teaching then?
So there's an instructor who's a competitive instructor. I think his name was Craig Outson. I have not met him before, but I guess for whatever reason he couldn't be there, and Robin needed a quick backup, and that's what I'll be teaching. Even though I'm not necessarily my schedule doesn't give me the time to actually become like a Grandmaster USPSA shooter.
You're a fast, accurate shooter though, Brent.
I think that throughout all the training, the stuff that I've been through, I have the knowledge to be able to transfer a lot of the core concepts of competitive shooting. I do compete. I think IDPA, I'm like a expert. And during the classifiers, my goal during some of those classifiers was so classifiers, if you don't know, they're just rankings, right? You've got expert and then master. Those are like the top two. And then you have distinguished master in IDPA, which is like you have to have one. I think you have to have one a major match as a master to become a distinguished master. It's like GM, right? And then there's USPSA and IDPA. So USPSA is more practical. You kind of get to shoot the stages however you want. As long as you stay within some of the rules and the shooting area. And then IDPA, there's a lot more strict rules as far as how you engage targets and all that stuff. So the Cameo every year has the Rocky Mountain regionals, which is IDPA. So Walt is the guy who runs Cameo, and he's a big IDPA guy. So they hold pretty much one of the biggest IDPA matches that you can find there. So that's what I've kind of been focusing on, trying to, get in there and do what I can. But there's some really good shooters, right? And we've got a guy, Austin Pruill, who's Walt's son. He's competing a lot, and he's practically winning everything, right? So he's an awesome shooter, and I've done some classes with him, or one class with him. So it's all good. It's always good to get competitive shooting in your training repertoire, because in the long run, shooting's shooting.
Yeah.
And you got the whole debate of competition versus
Yeah, we had a literal debate on the show one day. Did you ever see that? I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah.
Tyler Sharp and Lee Weems, they didn't go at it, but they just had a conversation about it.
Yeah. So, and it's always there. There's some aspects that make sense. Like, you don't want to get stuck in doubles. Shooting two at everything. That's why, like, Adam will have people vary your strings of fire, right? And I do that too in my classes. Or if it's a defensive class. But if it's competitive shooting, there's rules, and that's how you shoot the targets. That's how you engage them. It's best 2 on target. Why waste time shooting more than 2 if you get 2 alphas or 2 down zeros, and you just move on, right? So most people are smart enough to understand there's 2 contextual differences, but at the same time, competitive shooting is going to make you a better shooter all around, right?
Yeah.
There's some guys like AJ Zito and Tim Herron. If there's a gunfight around me and they're with me,
oh yeah,
on my side, I know they can shoot lights out, right? So
for sure.
Yeah, there's not 15, 20 guys. It's not like the movies, but I know they can hit what they want to hit in a quick amount of time, shooting. So
yeah, and they can think while they're doing it too. I had a thought though. I don't think you probably saw this, but I think it was on the Lee Weems interview we did. We were talking about competitive shooting, and I had this idea, and I don't think it's crazy. I think it's genius, actually. Maybe you should start it. It could be a whole new club. But like, I think that competitive shooting could be more like real life if you didn't know the course of fire before you started. So if you were able to engage targets based on shoots and no shoots, right? So you know ahead of time what the shoots and no shoots are, right? But you don't know what the course of fire is, and you're like, you don't know what the stage looks like. You don't know what the setup looks like. Because like in your real life gunfight, it's not like you're going to be like, okay, I'm going to do 2 here and 4 here. And you know what I mean? And transition and do this. So like if you were literally blindfolded up to a stage and then like the blindfold just got taken off and you just had to engage targets and think like right now, don't you think that would be
I think your defensive encounter is probably not going to be anything like a competitive stage at all.
Right.
Even IDPA. You get an IDPA, you get your walkthrough, but you have to, engage targets in like slicing the pie and that kind of stuff. So if you come around a wall in IDPA and you shoot the far one first and then come back, you get a penalty for that, right? So you got to shoot in order of engagement, which is slicing the pie, because that's defensive shooting. But we're talking going through ports and shooting. IDPA is basically John Wick, right? Because the statistical average of you having to take down 10 bad guys or more is
exactly. Yeah, right? Totally agree with you. So I'm saying the added element of not knowing what's coming is important. That's all my point.
Agree. But at the same time, if the part about competitive shooting that is the mental engagement is trying to come up with a stage plan and execute it.
Yeah.
So there is cognitive processing power being done with competitive shooting, right? So
that's true.
I think that should be left to its devices, right? As far as competitive. And if you're going to do cognitive processing type drills as far as real life and defensive, you should do stuff with like visual processing, because I have a class and I think Brian Hill and Shelley do stuff that's very similar, like their image-based decision drills. That stuff, as far as upping your defensive game, is probably better.
If you've been listening to Defenders Live and something in you knows it's time to go deeper, not just in your training, but in your life, become a paid subscriber of Defenders Live. Each month we meet for a live group call, having real conversations about physical growth, emotional discipline, and spiritual strength. You'll be part of a growing community of people just like you, committed to becoming true defenders of life and of their families. This isn't about being perfect. It's about showing up, doing the work, and not doing it alone. So go to defenders-live.com and become a paid subscriber and take your next step toward becoming the kind of defender this world desperately needs. And explain
Be more realistic.
why that kind of what's the word, indicator, and rather than an auditory sound makes more sense.
Right. The only time you're going to have an auditory sound is if you hear gunfire somewhere else and you're having to go respond, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's your auditory signal. There's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time it's going to be a visual signal of there's a gun being pointed at somebody or whatever the case is.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then you have different varying degrees of use of force that you need, right? Not everybody needs shot, right? But then again, some people may need shot that you might not immediately assume, right? Because we all have our predisposed ideas of what our bad guy is going to look like.
Mm-hmm.
Throw that out the window, right?
Yeah.
It could
Can I say an example of how I got that wrong in training one time? I mean,
Yeah.
I'm embarrassed to even admit it, but this really happened, so I'll just say it. Thank God it was in training, but I definitely learned a very valuable lesson. So we were doing I don't think you were there. No, this was last year, so you weren't there this time, but we were doing stuff inside buildings, and we were using airsoft. And, you know, you hear screaming down the hallway, kind of a scenario, and you're, you know, going to the threat, trying to figure out what's going on. Turn the corner, and my husband happened to be in this scenario, which is really bad for him. But what happened was a short little dude. I won't say who it was. If he's watching, he would laugh because he knows who he is if he's watching. A short little dude was holding a really, really, really big, tall dude, which was my husband, like at gunpoint in the corner of a room. And I turn the corner. All I see is this big, huge dude. I immediately start engaging the bigger dude. I didn't even, I saw a gun, so I knew there was a problem, but for some reason my processing just automatically was biased towards the big dude, thinking he was the bad guy. So I shot my husband with ammunition, not real ammunition. But,
let's clarify.
Yeah, let's clarify. It was airsoft. But I mean, and I mowed him down, and I just was like, I couldn't believe if you'd have told me that was going to happen right before that, I would have been like, there's no way. I would look and see who was holding the gun. But I remember seeing a gun, and then I just remember engaging the bigger target, which was my husband. But like that kind of stuff happens, right?
That's why we should train that stuff.
Exactly why.
Like competitive shooting helps you visually confirm things and be quicker on visual exercises and shooting and transitions and all that stuff, and memorizing your stage plan, executing your stage plan how you want. But then you should do stuff like force on force as long as it's done right. Image-based types drills, image-based type decision making that gives you a chance to process something something that you can see that makes you have to decide what you're doing and then apply the force appropriately. Like, I have cards that, full disclosure, I kind of took the idea from image-based decision drills, but I've made them my own as far as like the scenarios, and some of them are actually me, because there's a pretty high likelihood that your defensive encounter will be somebody that you know as well, because that's generally the people you're around. So, and that's it's just stats. It's not always true, but it could be.
You put like a picture of yourself by the target. Oh, okay.
So I will.
Does that throw people off?
Yeah.
Because they recognize.
I've got my kids that have helped with some of the images, because that helps with processing of this does not register as a bad guy. This is a small child. Right. And sometimes I didn't do all that to like teach people how to shoot kitty cats and kids. Yeah. I put those images in there to elicit somewhat of a emotional response as best I can, given the safe training environment, but also to try and teach that not every bad guy looks like your typical bad guy, right?
Right. And so the most important thing, I guess that we're looking for is we're looking for hands. We're looking for what are they doing with their hands, or right? Isn't that the number one thing you should be watching and looking for, right?
Yeah, as far as immediacy, but you also got to, pay attention to what's called pre-assault indicators.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that most people should learn, like how their eyes are behaving, if they're fidgeting, all kinds of stuff. So
that's so crazy. I want to tell you a story, but I don't know if I can.
You can tell it to me later.
Yeah, I'll tell it to you later. But there were definite indicators going on, and it had at least 3 of us in this group were turned on to it. Nobody else was even paying attention. But anyway, that'll be a story for later. Okay. So what else do people need to know? Oh, well, one of the things I was going to ask you as a holster maker, I mean, you see the same things over and over and over again with people that come to you that need a holster. And to be honest, a lot of people buy their first gun and don't even realize a holster is a necessity at all. For whatever reason, it just doesn't even dawn on them. I've had plenty of people come to my classes and haven't even considered the fact that they even need a holster. Like, why do I need a holster? So what are some of those top level things that you wish people knew before they started looking for holsters so they don't end up with junk and a bad experience and wasting their money?
Just buy from me. No, I'm just kidding. There's a number of great holster makers. And some of them we work with, like we're on Filster's page. We're compatible with their Enigma. We don't really work with them, but we are listed and we have their website listed as compatible too, so that whoever shops with us can just go straight to Filster from us and that kind of stuff. So, but even if people don't, my goal isn't to get everybody to buy from me. It's just to get them good holsters. So if I don't have molds for it and you're not a local and I don't offer it at the time, because I have to buy every gun and make sure that I CAD it out and do all the design work for it. And then we use the guns as tools to test fit and all that. So, I don't have the money to be buying every single gun on the market. And some of it's just, demand too, because occasionally we'll get some questions like, oh, can you make this? I'm like, what is that? I don't even know what that is. So you're going to have to go to somebody local and have it built off the actual gun if you want it done. But all that requires you to go to a custom holster maker that knows how to properly block everything off. And because if you have too much retention, say if they just smash the gun up in some Kydex, you're going to get so much retention around any of the, brakes, safeties, all that stuff, levers, whatever may be on the gun, or slide serrations, any of that Kydex gets in there and it creates extra retention that you don't want. So all that stuff's got to be blocked out. As far as construction, you probably want to find somebody that makes either all their stuff with legitimate Kydex brand thermoplastic or Bolteron. Those are the top 2 companies that supply what makes a thermoform plastic. Kydex is a brand. It's just it's like Kleenex. Everybody uses it as a Kydex holster, right? So that is a brand of plastic. So it gets heated up and then gets formed appropriately. All the controls should be blocked off. So once it breaks the trigger guard retention that is there, it should come out really smooth. I would argue that if you are flipping your gun and holster upside down and shaking it really hard as a retention test and it doesn't come out, that's not exactly a good thing, right? If you flip it upside down and hold it and it doesn't fall out, that's probably good. If you shake it and it doesn't come out, that may mean that it won't come out when you need it to also. So you got to be aware of when people say, oh, you got to flip your holster over and flip it, shake it. If it doesn't come out, it's good to go. Yeah, it's going to hold it, but maybe it won't come out in time. So I've got some guys like Brandon Fisher who buys a lot of stuff from me, and I joke around with him. I'm like, you buy a holster from us, you're gonna get a sub-second draw. Like, that's funny. Because I try to design the retention to be just enough, right?
Yeah.
So
the finish work on your holsters is really, really good too. And not that I'm an expert or anything, but just as a customer who knows what I like, that is one of the things I like about it. And maybe it's because I'm a girl and I like it to look cool and I like it to feel good. I don't want any rough edges on it. You know, all those kind of things matter.
Yeah.
So, and the retention's
I would say
really
that's another thing. Some companies will like make sharp edges to make it look really cool, but for an inside waistband holster, that's going to be uncomfortable, especially because it's already hard plastic. So they should have pretty decent contours to all the edges, and the buffing, I would argue, that doesn't need to be like super shiny, because I have had to correct at AGAG some really nice looking holsters that didn't fit. Like, they didn't retain the gun, or they could barely put it in, but those edges, they looked awesome, right? Like mirror finish.
The looks aren't everything.
But it really fit the gun, right? They spent more time making it look pretty than actually making it functional. So for us, I do like a matte finish and keep all the edges off, and it's good to go.
Good. Okay, I want to go like a little bit more shallow level, more top level with you, Brent, because some of the people watching may be new gun owners, and so when I asked the question about like what do they need to know in order to get a good holster, you gave some really good answers, but they were more for like people that kind of already know what a trigger guard is, you know, and stuff. Like, let's assume that somebody just walks in, they're like, my husband bought me this gun, I don't know anything about anything. Why do I need a holster, number one? And what does it do? What's the purpose of it? Okay.
So unless you are going to have like a nightstand gun, what's the point of having the gun if you're not going to actually carry it, right? Holsters are for keeping the gun on your person in a safe manner where the trigger is covered, and it facilitates a good draw that does not allow anything to get into the trigger and cause accidental discharges, right? So the trigger guard's got to be fully covered, and it's got to have some sort of clicking retention so that you know that it's seated when it's seated. It doesn't have to like snap closed or anything like that, but you should have some sort of audible click and at least some sort of tactile feeling that the gun is in where it should be, because we don't want any of that trigger guard exposed, and we don't want sometimes you'll get holsters that people don't understand or aren't fully seated, and they'll have a little gap, and then you can get shirt tail stuck in there if you're concealing and you have an undershirt that's kind of cotton or whatever, which I would argue you probably shouldn't wear cotton undershirts. If you're going to wear undershirts, wear something like a sport shirt that's tight. And it's just got to be open mouthed for training purposes, and that way when you go to holster after every iteration of a drill, when you're at home and if it's your everyday carry and you're not actually training with it, if it's just a leather holster and you put the gun in the holster and then put it on, it doesn't necessarily have to be a hard holster. But once you get into actual training, most instructors are going to demand that it stays open when the gun's out, right? Because that keeps you from muzzling your hand to keep the holster open while you put the gun in. So I would just say go straight to a hard open mouth holster, save your money. Don't spend the $30-$40 on a leather one unless it's a really, really good leather holster that is reinforced to be open in the mouth. So, and what are some things that people should consider on as far as like where they should be carrying, or is that too big of a conversation for tonight? I think that's going to be up to preference. More and more people, as far as concealment and accessibility, are moving to appendix, right?
Mm-hmm.
And some guys are like, well, I don't want to point the gun at my, right? And it's like, well, unless you're carrying certain guns that have notorious rumors about it, right? Going off without intention, you're fine, right? Most modern firearms, semi-automatic firearms, are perfectly good. If it's a 1911 with a safety, it's got a safety on it.
Well, and there is a way to holster appendix without pointing the gun at yourself too, which I don't think some people realize.
Yeah, there's a misconception that because it's there, it's going to be pointed there.
Right.
You can put wedges in there. You can holster properly. What we tell you in defenders classes is get sexy, right? Kick your hip back or thrust your hip forward to keep the muzzle of the gun pointed away from all the parts you don't want to point your gun at. So
right. Yeah.
And then once it's in the holster, it's perfectly safe. It's not going to randomly go off.
Right. It's in park at that point, right?
Yeah, because as long as that trigger guard's fully covered, nothing can get in there. You're good to go.
And I would argue, and I think you agree with me, but like I don't think you should do this, but if you're not carrying your gun on body, I still think the gun should be in a holster. The trigger guard should be covered if it's not in use. Would you agree?
Yes, always.
Yeah.
There have been numerous accounts of either moms getting shot or the kids themselves getting shot because I don't know how prevalent, but more than should have been of the kids getting shot because the kid gets into the purse and the purse or the whatever gun they have in there is
just floating in there.
It's either floating in there or it's got the sticky holster little foam thing because that's going to help protect the trigger guard, not little hands. And even if your adult hands and you're in there searching for other things, you can accidentally trip the trigger. So
so your gun should not be covered in anything soft at all ever for a holster.
No, not unless you have like a full hard Kydex and then some sort of comfort pad on the outside. That's a different story, right? There's some companies that make really good hybrid holsters, which is like part Kydex, part soft leather or whatever. I would recommend that if you want to get a hybrid of some sort, usually it works best for 3 o'clock because the panels of the hybrid part kind of are a little bit wider and they can wrap around the side of your body. But as far as concealment, 3 o'clock is kind of, or even not 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock is kind of hard to conceal if you're out and about, right? It's just
okay. I have a question then. What about, because I know there's a lot of women that use these and I've been guilty of this. So I just am going to warn all of you guys and let Brent say it in his own words because he's the expert. But what about belly bands or, what about the leggings with the built-in holster with the strap over the top where you put it into your leggings. Have you seen these?
I think so.
It's like a pocket inside your leggings, and then there's a strap that goes over the top, and it's not even a button strap. It's like a hooky strap. So you have to pull the strap down to release it.
Yeah.
And then get the gun out. And it's all made out of the same thing like belly bands are made out of. It's like this stretchy, material kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Those are super popular right now.
Well,
any suggestions?
Just because it's popular doesn't mean it's right.
There's a lot of things that are popular right now that are not safe. Would you agree?
Yeah. There are quite a bit of things that are popular that aren't safe, even outside of, guns, just in general, just because people like it, the company might have a really good marketing team. That doesn't mean that it's safe or good. As far as that, the trigger guard's probably got the squishy stuff, and if it's down here on a thigh and you're wearing a dress to conceal, I don't think it's going to conceal very well because that's like on a high point of your hip unless it's on the inside, I guess. And then even in that case, you got to have a way smaller gun than
You could
is
probably
shootable, right? I would always recommend to people to carry the biggest gun that fits your hands that you can conceal, right?
and shoot well, yeah.
Right, exactly.
That's the whole point.
So, like, I would not ever go smaller than a Glock 48 or the VP9 new CC9 or the VP9 CC. Those are like the smallest I would go as far as guns.
Mm-hmm.
Anything smaller than like the tiny little 365s, SIG 365s are pretty small. Every time I get a 365 in class, they're one, either very snappy, or two, they're just too small for the person. Even some of the ladies, their hands are just like totally enveloping it. They can't get to the trigger guard right. And then even then, you'll have big dudes with bigger hands than me, and well, I don't
can't even barely see the gun.
You got like gorilla hands, like trying to hold on to the SIG 365, and it's like, dude, you bare minimum probably get a macro if you're a SIG person. Right? It's a little bit beefier. Your hands can handle it. You can still conceal it, right? I think a lot of shop owners, as far as like gun stores, don't quite understand concealment principles as well, and then they end up selling too small of guns to people who don't
totally agree.
Need it.
Totally agree. Then they come to a gun class and they hate the gun. They hate shooting the gun. It's hard for them to be accurate. They get frustrated and their hands hurt. And so they're not training because they're not fit into the right gun. And I've just seen it so many times over and over again. And it's really hard to watch because it's so common. And I'm just thinking, like, who told you to get this gun? It was usually either their husband or the guy behind the counter, you know, and not dogging on all of them. I'm sure many of them are well educated on this, but I do see it a lot. And it is very frustrating just because the gun is small. Like, I think women especially just don't know. They think a smaller gun is going to be easier to shoot, not harder to shoot, which I could see maybe why they would think that, but that's just not how the reality of it is.
Yeah, I mean, science or whatever, or physics.
Yeah, physics, yeah.
It tells us, you're shooting the same bullet out of less weight or more weight. Which one's going to be easier? Probably the one with more weight.
Yeah, exactly. So I wanted to put a shout out to the Filster Enigma too, when you were getting into concealment things, because Filster Enigma, the Filster company, PHLSTER, their YouTube is amazingly awesome for concealment mechanics. If you guys want to learn about concealment, how to do it right. And obviously you said that your holsters work with the Filster Enigma. Yeah. The Filster Enigma, when it was first introduced to me, looked like this weird contraption. In fact, I was scared of it because I was like, Adam showed it to me the first time. I was like, what on earth is that thing? And
is that a boomerang?
I could not figure out how this could be like such a, revolutionary concealment mechanism until I finally was like, okay, I'll try it. And I watched videos and I got everything dialed in. I was shocked at how big of a gun I could conceal on my body with the Filster Enigma with the right setup. And so, I mean, it is possible with that kind of a setup to conceal more gun than you think.
Yeah. And then going back to like belly bands and stuff, that's the safe replacement. A Filster Enigma with either one of their shells or one of my shells or some other company that is compatible that supports your firearm of choice. That's the best option, because then the holster is completely safe and it's independent of a belt system, and it's probably
girls,
a little more.
You can wear almost anything. You can wear anything or nothing, and you still have a gun on you.
Yeah. And unlike the belly band, it's probably going to be a little more comfortable as far as temperature, because with the belly band, you just got all that material wrapped around your body. With the Filster Enigma and the right shells, you got the back strap thing, and then it's a belt that attaches to your body. And then there's a leg strap that has a couple options that keeps it from, coming up too high.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a game changer, because then you can put that holster anywhere on your body that is up front, instead of it's not dependent on where your belt line is. It can be a little higher.
Right.
If you look up Rhett Newmeyer, he teaches a bunch of like deep concealment stuff
Mm-hmm.
that
It
uses
is a game changer.
Enigma. So, because then you can actually put the gun and stuff below your belt line or your pant line
Mm-hmm.
if you need to.
Yeah, and it is actually comfortable. Like I don't think people realize, like when I first saw it, I was like, there is no way that could ever be comfortable. And it honestly is. Like it just, for me, it just became a part of my body. Like I don't even notice it. I'm like in a car for 8 hours. It's not even on my radar at all. I can run as long as I need to run, and it's not chafing, it's not bouncing, it's not moving around, nothing, none of that. And it's not like too tight or too loose. It's so adjustable and so customizable. It's just, I can't even say enough about it.
I think that's somewhat of it's not a problem, but where if you are not tinker type person and you just want something that just goes on and you go, maybe the Filter Enigma may not be the choice.
Yeah, it takes some time to get it dialed in.
Some tweaking and getting used to, right? They've got a whole Facebook group that you'll get ladies and dudes asking questions like, hey, I've been working with this for whatever. I can't figure it out. And then somebody will chime in and usually help them out. So
yeah.
But that's
thank God they have that Facebook group.
What's that?
I said, thank God they have that Facebook group community, because that's really, there's really good information on there. I remember when I was like, first starting to figure it out or whatever, I remember like searching up keywords like running or, things I was like just curious, what are other people doing, in their setup? And there's just tons of information on there. I don't know how many tens of thousands.
Then you don't have to ask the question that somebody else already asked.
It's already probably been asked by somebody, and you can just search in the group and find your answer more than likely. So anyway, okay. What did I leave out, Brent? Is there anything I missed? Oh, we definitely need to plug your website. People can go to havendefenseco.com, havendefenseco.com for those of you that are listening and not watching. And they're also on Facebook and Instagram. Are you anywhere else that I need to tell people about?
No, not yet. We do have a YouTube channel that you can just search Haven Defense Co.
Okay.
But we're still messing around with that. I'm just now learning all the ins and outs of, well, not all of them, but some of the ins and outs of being able to edit my own videos and all that. So trying to do some of that.
You learn everything on your own anyway. Within the next 2 or 3 years, you're going to be like a video editing genius. I mean, this is just how you are, Brent. I mean, you go after something, you conquer it, you master it, and then you move on to the next thing.
A downfall, though. At some point, there's too much.
Is there? Well, then at that point, then your sons can take over, the business, and you can venture in.
What's funny is because I just moved everything in the shop. And I have a newfound appreciation now for machine tech guys who come and set up machines. Because I basically redid the leveling of the feet pads and everything. And we're talking, it's level within 0.2 of an inch over 10 inches. Like that precise of leveling it. Every time I got under there, tweaking the thing, I get back up, check the level, and the bubble is just like a little slightly off, and I'm like, it's probably fine, but it does not look perfect. So I have a newfound appreciation for that kind of work. And I was like, okay.
I love your heart, and I love how your mind works, Brent. You're one of my favorite people on the planet.
Thank you.
And Marissa, too.
You are one of my favorite people, too. You're doing a great job with this podcast, and I'm glad you asked me to be on today. And hopefully, we answered some questions. And anybody has any questions for me as far as holsters, you can either reach out through my Facebook page or our email at sales@havendefenseco.com if you want, or just shoot me a message one way or the other.
And Brent will be back on later this year too. So if you have questions, you want to put them in the comments, we'll make sure to queue those up next time we have him on too.
Yeah, I think I'll have some more new products as far as holsters to talk about. And then I think we want to kind of review AGAG as far as how it all went. So
Well, I want to hear all about it. See how it went.
you aren't coming, right?
I'm not coming this year. No.
Boo.
I know. It's a big boo. Yeah.
That's all right. You're gonna have fun though, whatever you're doing.
Yeah. And I'll probably be back next year because I really enjoy it every single year, but it's just like wasn't in the cards this year for me. So, but it is what it is.
Next year, hopefully I'll be teaching another class again.
Yeah.
I got to try to make it good enough for the girls are like, we need Brent back.
Yep. Got to get good reviews. All right, Brent. Well, thanks for spending time with me tonight. Tell Marissa hi for me.